Hey, it's Josh Bloom Podcast. Welcome to 2025. It's another edition of TikTok Rants, and I was ranting right as soon as we got out the gate of 2025. The first piece I have for you is called First Karen of 2025. Now, I say Karen because I had witnessed this woman and her husband while I was sitting there working at the Panera on, yes, New Year's Day, because it was open and I was going there to get my free coffee. And what I witnessed, well, you will hear, but in the comments on TikTok, someone had commented, in fact, a few people had said, that's not a Karen, which, okay, that's what I know it to be, but someone left a comment and said, she's a sea lion, or she is sea lioning. I did not know what that was. I looked it up. There are too many obscure words for this kind of stuff. If you hear the tinkling in the background, it is my cat eating her breakfast. Not a Karen. Her name is Stella. Listen to this and let me know if you think that Karen was the wrong word. If you want to say that I overreacted, go right ahead, because my entire life is an overreaction. This is the first Karen of 2025. I will be back. I have just encountered my first Karen of 2025, and it is only 12 hours into 2025, so I'm ahead of the game, just hanging out here at the P with Charlie and the kid trapped in that frame. So I am just here to get coffee and do a little bit of work. And a woman comes in with her husband. You could tell they were very upwardly mobile. She was very skinny and proud of that, fine. And the husband had the very, very expensive jeans on. I took a look. It's those, $200 pair of jeans. It's also fine if you have the means. She started out with, well, no one's open today. No one's open. I can't believe no one's. Okay. So the thing that, after all that got my attention was she said she had prepared, she was ready to do whatever she was going to do because she had commanded all the attention. I'm going to do some bagels. Now, look. I don't know about you. Have you ever gone into any kind of food establishment and looked at a menu? I don't care if it's fast casual. I don't care if it's like, Chipotle. I don't care if it's a fine dining. I don't care if it's McDonald's. Do you go in there and you go, I'm going to do a Big Mac. I'm going to do brisket. Is brisket something they have in Chipotle? I don't go in there. I learned my lesson with Chipotle. It's just, it's just not that good. It used to be good. It's not that good. I'm going to do a dozen bagels. So, okay. All right. I'm already listening. So then she goes, I'll take those last two Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Now look, Cinnamon Toast Crunch is a registered brand name. Panera does not sell Cinnamon Toast Crunch. It's just Cinnamon Crunch. And if I was working here, I would have corrected her. I say, ma'am, we don't sell Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I'm so sorry. We sell Cinnamon Crunch. Is that what you were looking for? Now, obviously, that would get me fired and make her angry, and she would ask to see the manager and really do what we know Karen to be. She said, I'll take those last two Cinnamon Toast Crunch. And that annoyed me because she was like, she had to point out those last two. Like she wanted to make it known, like, I'm taking those last two. They're for me. Okay. So anyway, she did. And please slice them. Please slice them for me. Sure. Okay. But by the way, the worker here doesn't complain about being here at 11 a.m. on New Year's Day. Only me, the customer, is complaining about another customer. But you should know that by now. So anyway, she got all her bagels. And her husband just paced back and forth. I think he was eating one of the bagels while he was pacing. So then, of course, she got a coffee. A small coffee. Oh, he asked her, would you like cream cheese? They used to have several kinds of cream cheese. Now they only have plain and honey walnut. And he said, plain or honey walnut? And she said, plain. She goes, oh, honey walnut would be too sweet. You just got, not only did you get cinnamon crunch, but in your world, it was Cinnamon Toast Crunch. So that's like super sweet. To me, Cinnamon Crunch is not as sweet as Cinnamon Toast crunch, right? I'm sorry, let me just make sure you can see Charlie and the kid. So she said, oh, that's too sweet, plain. So she got her plain, she got her bagels, and she got her cup for her coffee. So whatever. I was not going to talk about this until she went over to the coffee. And then she goes, and then I hear the words, I don't want to be a pain, which means I want to be a pain. This coffee is not fresh. It's not hot. Now, I get coffee at the P every day, pretty much. And not only is it hot, it's too hot. It comes out of that thing like just like steaming. Like it's scary how steaming it is. This is, I don't want to be a pain. This is not hot. And then she went and took it to the next level. She's like, it's not fresh. It's not fresh. She said it over like 3-4 times. And this is by the way, this is a younger woman. Maybe she's in her, I don't know, late 30s, maybe. Younger to me. I'll be 53 next month. Again, the worker, fine. They must deal, who knows what they deal with here. It's not fresh. It's not fresh. Now, to me, like, hey, this isn't hot is one thing, but it's not fresh. Then you're saying like the place is unclean. Like you're actually now adding this element that like is accusatory of the workers. Like, they don't open at 7 on New Year's Day. They let you, in fact, it says in their app, like, we're allowing our workers to spend more time with their families, so we're not opening until 8. Isn't that nice? Got to spend that whole extra hour with your family. This isn't fresh. He came right over. He came right over and brought a new coffee carafe thing for the coffee station out for her. Then, do you have almond milk? Now, I drink almond milk at home because it's lower in calories. But when I'm here, I just get a drip of 2% because I'm not going to bother them because they don't leave the almond milk out because it's corporate thing. Obviously they're saving money. They don't leave the almond milk out. Do you have almond milk? So apparently if you request almond milk, they'll give you almond milk. Now, even though I know that now, I'm not going to request almond milk. It's inconvenient, first of all, to request every time. But I mean, can you imagine working here? It's like, oh, that's the guy who always asks for the almond milk. Yeah. Okay, but it was right in line for her to do that. It's right on time. You have any almond milk? Okay. He brings out the box of almond milk for her. She takes it. She's like, I don't need this much. Yeah, we know, honey. We don't package individual almond milk for you. I think again, it was this vibe of, like it's not individually packaged, so she's like got an issue with it or something. Like this is tainted almond milk. So it's not up to her standards, this almond milk. So she uses the almond milk, and I think she's over the fact that it wasn't fresh. But then, now I had noticed when I got my coffee 10 minutes before that, there was a abandoned coffee cup there. Never see that. Now I thought maybe someone left their coffee cup there. Excuse me, I've got to scratch. Thank you. I had to scratch my nose. Or nose adjacent. There was an abandoned coffee cup there. I was like about to throw it into the trash, but I was like, oh, maybe someone put it there. Maybe someone's, I didn't want to, mess with someone's day. But that coffee cup being there was apparently enough for her to feel that the coffee station was now, dirty or something. I'm looking for the word. The coffee station was now I can't find the word. You know what I'm saying. The coffee station was ruined. It needed to be sanitized. It was unsanitary at the coffee station. So she asked for a new coffee cup, I guess, because thinking like germs had jumped from this other coffee cup over to her coffee cup. Now, I will tell you, this P that I go to, it's very nice, very well taken care of. That's why I come here. People are here very nice. The management is very on top of things. And so, that's not an issue. That's why I said, like, there happened to be a coffee cup there. And I found that surprising because usually, like, unlike even mom and pop shops, I think don't even keep as in ship shape as this particular store does. Like, I never see any messes around the coffee station area. Anyway, I think after she got her new cup and I think there was some grumbling because she was probably looking for maybe I can find something else to complain about before I leave. But I think there was some grumbling. And then, she moved on to whoever else she is going to make miserable today on New Year's Day.
So, what do you think? A Karen? It's a word that I know to describe someone who behaves that way. If there is something else I should say, you let me know, but it is not going to be sea lioning. Now we have something that I called Joy Will Prevail, which sounds like a nice message during the holiday season, but is actually related to the certification of the election, which I noticed people on TikTok freaking out about, which I completely understand that, in fact, there's a piece coming up about freaking out in general. But this is more about thinking optimistically about the future, which I personally feel like there's no other way to continue to walk on this earth if not to think about the future optimistically, because if I don't think about the future optimistically, well, that is a very dark path to go down, which I think would have a very negative effect on the Josh Bloom podcast, which is named after me. So if I'm not here, how does the Josh Bloom podcast go on? This is Joy Will Prevail.
Well, I can see a lot of people are upset about the certification of the election today, when I am not surprised whatsoever. I'm not thrilled. I think Donald Trump is a dick, and I've thought he's a dick all the way back to my childhood, because I am a New Yorker and we've always known about Donald Trump and that he's a dick. What I will say is that as someone who was born in the year 1972, a mere 7 years after Black women were given the right to vote, I was born when the pendulum was swinging left as far as civil rights and progress was concerned. And progress is not a straight line. I'll put it in terms of like weight loss. When you lose weight, you don't just lose weight and lose and get to your goal weight and you're done. It goes up and down and all around. And in this particular case, while some people, I think, were hoping there would be some sort of last minute disruption, it was a last minute disruption that was a problem the last time, remember? Democrats and non-insane people are going to remain with fidelity to the Constitution. And the fact of the matter is that these lawless people who are now going to be running our government, and even if they are not lawless, which many of them are, including Donald Trump himself, they have an agenda that is not in line with someone like myself, and obviously not in line with the 74, 5, whatever, 6 million people that voted for Kamala Harris, which is the show of progress that I like to look at. That 74 million people voted for Kamala Harris when a mere, whatever it is, 35 plus 25 is 60 years ago. A mere 60 years ago, Kamala Harris couldn't even vote. So now we are in the timeline where the pendulum is swinging hard right, and it is my belief that we must let it swing all the way to the right and let these people do whatever the F they're gonna do, because you know what? They're gonna do it anyway. That doesn't mean roll over. That doesn't mean no objections. It doesn't mean no protests. But frankly, they will be fighting against the objections. They will be fighting against the protests, and they might be fighting against those things in ways that aren't lawful. Remember, Donald Trump wanted to, remember what he did? He wanted to, shoot people in the legs. He wanted to, you know what I'm saying. He'll do whatever he feels like he needs to do because he is crazy, because he's mentally ill person who was raised in an environment without caring and love. And this is what we get when you raise, sociopath kind of edging into that psychopath area. Fine. They must do what they're going to do because they're going to do it anyway. And when they get to the bottom, and the things they do start to negatively affect the people that once supported them, then the people will coalesce around the knowledge that they are not happy. And we will all agree that we are not happy. And change will be made from that standpoint. I know this is not something you don't want to hear. I know this is not something you want to hear. I know this is not something I want to say, but it is the way it is. They're gonna do what they're gonna do, no matter what. So, in from my point of view, I'll go back to the dieting metaphor. If you're gonna overeat, if you're gonna eat treats and sweets and too many calories and put on weight, then you're gonna do it. You're gonna do it and do it and do it until you feel like you coalesce around the idea that you just don't want to live that way anymore. And then you will start to make changes, but changes come. This is me. My head is making up and down because changes come not in a straight line. They come with peaks and valleys, and we will get there. If you're watching TikTok right now, you're young enough to you'll see it. Look, 60 years ago, Kamala Harris could not vote. Cut to 60 years later, she gets 75 million votes, and she only lost by 1 point something percent on a campaign that was only 3 months long. We will see change, but we're going to have to let these doo-doo heads do what they're going to do because they're going to do it anyway. So let's try to just be as happy and positive as we can while it's going on. Don't immerse ourselves too much in news, but stay informed and act where we can, when we can, in a way that does not give them ammunition to use ammunition, if you know what I mean. I feel like if you were a person who thought like maybe they'll pull something at the certification today, maybe they have something up their sleeve, go ahead and let that go and relax because it's gonna be fine. These are not the sharpest tools in the drawer, and they're motivated by anger and fear and their own personal disappointment in life. And it will come to pass that progress and optimism and, to use Kamala Harris's word, joy, will prevail.
Okay, this next piece is a fun one. I put it here in the lineup just because I wanted to kind of like build up to it. Now, I spent several days thinking about this. It's called The First Time a Song Made Me Physically Ill. I really sort of let this turn over in my head for several days and actually ended up doing a little bit of research in order to talk about this in the way I wanted to talk about it. I am kind of proud of this one, and it seems to have gotten a reaction. In fact, when I posted about it to the classic rock subreddit group, they banned me. The first time a song made me physically ill, I will be back.
I am going to throw up. Never has a song before made me physically ill, but for the first time, a song has made me physically ill. This song is called Triad. The artist is David Crosby. You may know David Crosby from the group Crosby, Stills and Nash, or Crosby, Stills and Nash and Young, or in this case, just Crosby and Nash. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I actually bothered to make this graphic with a cover of the album that the song appears on and these lyrics laid out so that I may go through them with you, so that we may experience together just what it is that has turned me off so much this morning about this song. Now, apparently this song was written or recorded or whatever. Something happened in 1971, and you can see that album cover has the title Another Stony Evening. Isn't that cute? That's something from the 60s or early 70s. You know, that's related to, like, you know, stony. I think that by saying that Mr. Crosby is trying to just let you know how incredibly cool he is. And I don't want to disparage Mr. Crosby, rest in peace. He had a reputation in his life for being a rather ornery gentleman. And the reason I know about this song now is because I was listening to what has now become my very favorite podcast called The History of Rock Music in 500 Songs. And the host was discussing on this episode a song by the band Jefferson Airplane. Not this song, but apparently the band Jefferson Airplane recorded this song before David Crosby had even recorded or released this song, or at least released this song. Now, when I heard these lyrics and heard this song, that made me so sick, and then heard that it was actually released on a Jefferson Airplane record, recorded with their current vocalist at the time, Grace Slick, who is a woman, I was like, well, maybe what I am reacting to about these lyrics, maybe it would be different if I heard a woman singing it. And it was not different. In fact, it just hammered home how awful these lyrics were. By the way, I am at the P again, and as you can see, the kid and Charlie Chaplin are in the frame behind me. Now, I did not notice that the kid has a donut in this picture behind me, which makes a lot of sense considering this is Panera. I was wondering why that picture was there, but I digress. Let me get back to the point. Let's get into this song Triad so you can understand exactly why I am so disgusted by this piece of art that Mr. Crosby has created. Again, not meaning to disparage Mr. Crosby directly. What's the point of that? Let the man rest, but the art lives on, and I must address this. So, the song Triad by David Crosby starts with the lyric, "You want to know how it will be, me and her, or you and me." Well, as we can see, getting right into the heart of the matter, this is a song addressing polyamory, three-way, however you want to call it. I don't disagree with it. I've done all sorts of things in my life. In fact, I've done things in my life that are adjacent to the subject matter of this song, but as the subject matter of this song continues to unfold, it gets further and further away from anything that I would condone or do or accept in the behavior of others. Let's continue. You both sit there with your long, flowing hair. Your eyes are alive, but your minds are still growing. Actually, let me reread that because I don't want to take anything away from Mr. Crosby's rhyme structure. You both sit there with your long hair flowing. Your eyes are alive. Your minds are still growing. Well, your eyes are alive. Your minds are still growing. Well, now Mr. Crosby is asserting on another stony evening that their minds are still growing. Well, as far as I know, your minds are still growing. Now, your mind can still be growing when you're an adult. I totally advocate education throughout a lifetime, but I have a feeling he is talking about young people, saying to me, what can we do now that we both love you? And that is in quotes, meaning he is quoting them directly, apparently, to let us know, the listener, that these two young people with eyes alive and minds still growing are in love with him. Let me put David's picture up on the screen. I created this just to illustrate, and I added that psychedelic background. But this is what Mr. Crosby looked like in 1971. This is the man that these young women with minds still growing, this is what they saw. Let's continue. I love both of you too, and I don't really see why we can't go on as three. Well, now I think we have gotten to the meat of the song, and I use that word begrudgingly because when it comes to, I'm going to put up this picture again, when it comes to this gentleman and meat, I don't want to make that connection. Like I said, this song has sickened me. I am not a vegetarian. I eat meat. But in this case, maybe I should reconsider that. We continue. You are afraid. You're probably embarrassed too. Well, why would they be afraid or embarrassed? Let me put up that picture one more time. Again, this is the man that these two women profess to be in love with, and he professes right here to be in love with them too, and also is aware that they are afraid, and also is aware that they are embarrassed. Why would he think that? Perhaps because he is in the process of completely manipulating and controlling them into getting into a three-way relationship with him, this confessed older gentleman who is in the rock and roll business, and you know how those people can be. Another stony evening. No one has ever, in your sweet short life, child, said such an outrageous thing to you. So, once again, Mr. Crosby has been confessing all along that he pretty much knows that this relationship is wrong because. Not because it's three people and consenting adults, but you have to be an adult to be a consenting adult. Now, don't you? And I think it has been made clear that maybe these people he's talking to are not as adult as one would want people to be when applying this kind of suggestive talk. Let's continue. Saying, you cannot do that. It breaks all the rules. Been sending you out to learn in the schools. I still don't really see why we can't go on as three. Well, David, Mr. Crosby, perhaps you can't see, and that gives me the opportunity to lay some facts on thee. You said that it breaks all the rules, been sending you out to learn in the schools. Well, minds are still growing, learning in schools. Sweet short life, child. Now, Mr. Crosby, isn't it clear that maybe these women are a little too young for you? Now, again, when I went and listened to this song as released and recorded by Jefferson Airplane with a lead singer who is a woman, Grace Slick, I said to myself, how is a woman condoning this behavior? Maybe when I listen to this song as recorded and released by Grace Slick, I will get some sort of perspective as to what the hell is going on here. And I did not. I did not. And let me put up that picture of David Crosby again. I was sick to my stomach, and I'm sick right now. We're running out of time, so let me just move on here. We love each other. It's plain. If you watch for a while, you'll see it's just one answer that comes right away to me. Yes, it does. Sisters, lovers, some of you must know about what are brothers, and in time, maybe others. So now Mr. Crosby is suggesting that maybe some other men might be brought into the situation. As you can probably tell as I'm going to wrap this up, this song is nefarious. This song is wrong. This song does not belong. And I feel like maybe we should try to get Superman to fly around the earth in reverse back to 1971 when this song was written so that Mr. Crosby can lift his hand and pen from the paper that he is writing on in order to relieve all of us music fans from ever. Oh my God, that is right there. What happened just then is the ghost of Mr. Crosby trying to disrupt the message that I am trying to impart to you, which is this song Triad should never, ever, ever be part of your consciousness. Consider my words a warning.
Okay, what do you think of that? Do you now have an opinion of David Crosby that you did not have before? Frankly, if you have no opinion of David Crosby now, then, or ever, I can understand that. But I had to talk about this because it was really sort of infecting my consciousness for days how sort of yucky this song is. Last up is something I call, if you know that you're freaking out, you can stop freaking out. This is not self-help. This is how I deal with freaking out personally. I would never try to give anyone self-help advice because I am still in the midst of helping self, myself helping me. This is what I do. So if you want to take something away from it, you go right ahead. I will be back afterwards.
Do you ever find yourself freaking out? Well, of course you do. Thank you, Josh. Thank you for the help, for helping me know that I freak out sometimes. Look, I freak out sometimes. I was freaking out moments ago before I picked up this phone. And what I'm trying to say by pointing this out is that if we acknowledge, if I acknowledge, if you acknowledge the common we human beings, if we acknowledge that we are freaking out, that is a massive step. In fact, I would say that is 89.7% of the steps towards not freaking out and calming ourselves down. I tend to freak out after a period of real, maintained, and unadulterated self confidence and optimism. And then all of a sudden, it'll be coming up the street. I see it. Hello. The freak out comes. And I start in on myself. I start in with, oh my God, Josh, how foolish you are to think that what you want to accomplish can be accomplished. How foolish you are to think that the vision you have in your head of what you can be, of what you want to be, of what you can conceivably work towards is impossible. What a fool, Josh, that is of you to do. I don't know if you do this, but I'm willing to guess that I am not unique among the entire population of the planet. So when this happens, that is the moment that I'm grateful to be freaking out. And why would I be grateful? Why would I grateful? You know, the Grateful Dead, friend of the devil. I will consider the freak out. And I'm not talking about Frank Zappa or the Mothers of Invention. I'm talking about the Grateful Dead, and I'm talking about friend of the devil. The devil is the freak out, and I want to be friends with that devil. Because when I acknowledge that I am freaking out, that is how I unfreak. When I get into those moments and I am picking on myself like that to the extent of, oh my God, Josh, you fool, as I've just described, that is when I can stop and say, Josh, you are freaking out right now. There is nothing in the universe that can control what's going to take place in your life, moment to moment, day to day, year to year, that has more power and significance than your own willingness to take part in the positive alignment of your thoughts and actions. I don't mean this to sound so self-help, but let's help ourselves. I probably just woke up my neighbor. It's 3 a.m. Recognizing that I am freaking out, and by extension, you recognizing you're freaking out is the moment where you can. I like when this little light is here to makes it seem like what I'm saying is very important, and it is. It is, even if it's a matter of just not freaking out, because no one wants to spend their day doing that. No one wants to spend any moment doing that, because freaking out is not fun, but it is the devil and it is a friend. And again, the reason why it is the devil is because we don't want it. And the reason why it is a friend is because we can use it to help us. So when we acknowledge, hey, this is a freak out, you're freaking out, stop that. Now, stop that. Josh, I can't just stop that. How am I supposed to unclutter my mind with stop that? You effing fool. Fair. You can call me fool. Get in those comments and call me fool. Get in those comments and say, I want to see a comment where someone says something like, no, dude, you're right when you tell yourself those horrible things, and you should just put the fries in the bag. I would tell that person without even having to comment back. The person who has the fear of living a life of putting the fries in the bag is yourself. And on top of that, putting fries in a bag is a perfectly fine thing to be doing with one's life. And putting fries in a bag makes other people happy because people like fries. They like Frank Zappa. They like the Grateful Dead. And they like fries. We all like fries. Have you ever met anyone who says, I'm sorry, I just do not like fries? No, you haven't, because everyone does like fries. So if someone does put that comment of, you're right about all that, Josh, put the fries in the bag, that's a freak out if you react to that. And if you react to that and you freak out, that is the moment where you can say, I'm going to be unbothered by that because I have better things to use my moment in time on. Please remember, I am, I'm going to use the word grateful again, but I am grateful. Let me think of a different Grateful Dead song. Touch of Gray. It is not gray how grateful I am for you to be watching this right now. It is much more clear cut than that. It is not a shade of gray. It is black and white. It is completely white or completely black, meaning it is polarized on one side of the equation. You can pick the color or absence thereof, but what I am telling you is I am completely enamored of the fact that you would take the time to be listening to this right now because I realize how precious your time is. We only have 13:03 a.m. on January 3rd, 2025. We only have that once. We think. We don't know about the technology that might be coming down the road to allow us to experience 3:03 a.m. on January 3rd, 2025 again. But for now, we just have this moment, and I am grateful that you would spend this moment with me to teach you what something I know, which is when you are freaking out. Embrace that, because the quicker you embrace it, the quicker you can get yourself the hell out of there by just saying, like, Josh, you are freaking out right now. There is nothing in the universe that can control what happens with you and what you want to do with your life more so than your own thoughts. Now, there is a tinkling sound going on behind me. You know what that is? That is my cat. And she is eating some of her dry food. And when she eats some of that dry food, it makes the bowl make this ding, 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 ding noise. Now, do you think that she distracts herself from getting over there to that dry food and making that little tinkling sound because that means that food's going in her mouth? No, she does not. Take an example from this animal that does not get preoccupied with these kinds of thoughts. Oh, I like when the light's like this. Makes it seem like what I'm saying is important. Seriously, though, take a lesson from our pets. They're not bothered by S. They are just doing what they're programmed to do. And what you are programmed to do is seek bliss. You are programmed to live out the visions of yourself that you have in your head that make you positive and motivate you and move you further towards the most perfect life you can envision. And when those moments of freak out come, I'm not a doctor. I don't know why they come. Maybe because we harbor fears in our moments of self-preservation. We allow ourselves to indulge those fears. Maybe that's the reason. I don't know what the reason is. I don't really need to know the reason. But what I do need to know is how to unreason and get out of there. So I'll leave you with this. When the freak out comes, please tell yourself that you're freaking out, because if you know that you're freaking out, you can stop freaking out.
Hey, thank you for listening. This is Josh Bloom once again, and this has been another TikTok Rants. I am working on a very long piece about how I am a sociopath-adjacent person when I am in various coffee shops. If you don't know what the hell that means, I have spent about 5,000 words explaining this, and I'm coming into the finish line. So when it is published, I will be doing a read of it, and we will get away from TikTok Rants for that one, because who knows if TikTok is going to be getting away from us, because now that there is a law in effect to ban it, which is being argued in front of the Supreme Court this week, there might not be no more TikTok. Before I go, let me leave you with this bonus coming in hot, just a few minutes, called Jeff Bezos Does Not Like Cartoons. I don't need to explain it any further than that if you don't know what I'm talking about. Jeff Bezos does not like cartoons.
Jeff Bezos would not let a cartoon about him run in the Washington Post. I don't think anyone should be surprised at this. I would not be surprised if Jeff Bezos when he found out that he employs someone whose title is cartoonist, that he freaked out about that and not even kept on freaking out about the cartoon. Look, if you are a billionaire and you purchase a newspaper, the thing on your mind is, I'm going to make sure that nothing runs in that newspaper that makes me feel bad about myself, because to become a billionaire, you need to have the kind of ambition that it takes to devote every single fiber of your being to becoming rich and powerful. And the only way that someone can devote every fiber of their being to becoming rich and powerful is when they have nothing going on in the first place. If you take a look at Jeff Bezos now with his very tight clothing, pants and shirt, and his very well-oiled head, and then you go back and you see what he looked like when he started Amazon, then you will see somebody who did not look like that. He looked like a guy who would start a website to sell books. And back in the day when websites were all very, very ugly, there was no style whatsoever, not like Amazon has style now. But back then, that was that one single font that you could have on the internet. So look, no one should be surprised that Jeff Bezos is busy pulling cartoons, especially political cartoons, about himself from the newspaper that he owns, which is the problem to begin with. Newspapers should not be owned by single individuals. And when I say single, I certainly don't mean that he is romantically single, because he has the rich, powerful guy's wife now, which is very cool. And just to fend off any potential comments, I believe women can be awful rich oligarchs as well. More power to the women, literally, who want to become rich and powerful oligarchs. Jeff Bezos will continue to shut down cartoons and cartoonists about him. We need to get used to this, because we are all living in the timeline where we are past the civil rights movement and we are now on the pendulum swing back into an authoritarian type of government that will seek to tamp down and dispose of anyone who contradicts, exposes, or tries to undermine it. Welcome to 2025.
Thanks again for listening. Please like, comment, follow, subscribe. You can go to superjews.com. It's spelled exactly like it sounds, superjews.com, where you can find all of my social media links. You can find links to all of my writing. And I would love it if you follow and you like and you comment and you subscribe, because we live in an age of algorithms, and when you do that, it helps other people find me. I'll be back soon.